Welcome, everyone, to the L7C Podcast NBA edition. That's right. We are back talking about the NBA as the NBA season is going to be starting this October 19th, 2021, which means our NBA expert is back from podcast vacation. Mr. Evan Debo, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Martin. It's so good to be back. It's good to be back on the pod. NBA is back in full swing starting next week. It has been a long off season. A lot of transactions, a lot of odds and ends and different things going on. But I'm excited for it to be back. I need that back in my life. Need that hoops action.
I agree with you, man. I agree. And the Tuesday slate for the 19th, I mean, you get the Nets and the Bucks and the Warriors and the Lakers. But before the season even starts, the biggest thing that's been dominating the news is Kyrie. And I feel like every couple of so pods, me and you are talking about Kyrie Irving doing something. And this time was him not wanting to get vaccinated, where he lives in a state that you have to be vaccinated to partake in his profession, which is basketball and playing in the arena and all that stuff. He finally came out and said something yesterday saying he wants to be the voice of the voiceless and for them and all of that. But first, Evan, what do you think about this whole Kyrie situation?
So I think it's a little bit more nuanced than I thought it did, or than I knew it to be a couple days ago. I mean, at the bare minimum, we obviously have a situation where in San Francisco and New York City, as you said, you cannot participate in basketball activities, play in NBA games without being vaccinated. Kyrie playing in the borough of Brooklyn in New York City, obviously he falls under that. There's been other folks come out and, Andrew Wiggins originally still was a holdout, but eventually, money talks and he caved. He didn't want to lose out on money, those kinds of things. I believe it was Jonathan Isaac too. One of the most thought-provoking and well-spoken, I think, positions on, again, just talking about, speaking into the fact that, again, if natural immunity from having COVID previously himself and, being a strong, having the strong antibodies and being able to fight the disease, what are weighing the pluses and minuses? I mean, science has also told us that is true. When it comes to the vaccine with Kyrie, we didn't know what kind of, position statement he was coming from, or just didn't know what his position was, what have you, until recently. And, for him, it's so complex with Kyrie, right? So you've got the third eye in the middle of the forehead thing. You've got, again, it's a situation just evolved into craziness, in terms of, you don't know what his true thoughts are when it comes to certain things. We know recently he says he's taking a stand, more or less on folks getting fired or removed from their jobs because of vaccine mandates and whatever the capacity is, all those types of things. So specifically with Kyrie, again, I can kind of see some overtones of, again, there's so many ethical considerations with this too. You got healthcare workers, obviously, right now who are, if they don't fall in line and get vaccinated, again, the individual person has their own medical histories or situations at home, or, concerns about fertility and having kids, and, vaccine that we don't know 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years and beyond out, what the implications are. We know the vaccine is very, very safe. But there are some ethical considerations with that. But with Kyrie, he's come out and said he's taking a stand for folks like that, right? Who are in a situation where they're going to be potentially removed from their jobs, or they're asked to resign because they haven't, gone along with that. The same healthcare workers that were on the front lines all of last year when COVID first broke out, helping, are now being told to leave because they're not, being vaccinated on an individual basis. I mean, it's a little bit more complex. Like I said, I mean, that's a long way of saying I think it's a little bit more complex with this. But I mean, if you can also boil it down to Kyrie plus outlier perspective equals I'm going to hold out, or I'm going to do this, or I hate this team, trade me, right? I mean, that's the formula. So I think if we look at this in isolation part, let me ask you this. If Kyrie Irving is, I don't know, if Kyrie Irving is Kemba Walker up until the last 2 months, do you give him more of a leash on this conversation?
Yeah. I do.
Because he doesn't have a track record of this, right? He doesn't have a track record of exactly that formula. Kyrie Irving plus outlier theory, consideration, what have you, right, wrong, and different equals holdout, equals discontent with team, discontent with players. We've seen this in Cleveland. We've seen this with I'm gonna have a knee surgery because I think you guys played me through some stuff. I think you guys are too much about LeBron, yada, yada. So they traded to Boston. Discontent with the franchise there, didn't make it long, went to Brooklyn. I mean, Kyrie Irving is a heck of a basketball player, but at a certain point, Kyrie Irving can't play basketball when these kinds of things pop up. So the Nets came out and took a stand and said, because a lot of people were just assuming, at 27 points per game, 50% from the field, 40% from three, 6 assists a game, all the great things that make Kyrie the basketball player really, really well. Obviously, he's a big part of the Nets championship aspirations. Everybody just assumed they'd figure it out, right? That these city mandates would be lifted, and they still might, 6 months from now, which should still be NBA season. But everybody thought he's just going to play in away games for 41 games. He's not going to play home. But GM Marks came out and said that, we're not going to have a part-time player. So we're not interested in Kyrie playing with us at all in an away game of capacity. Were you surprised by any of that? I think I was a little surprised because I just assumed that, NBA teams are going to do what they do with superstars, right? Is they're going to, coddle's probably too strong of a word, but they're going to figure it out because the guy's so talented. Were you surprised that Bobby Marks came out with that?
I was surprised, but then I don't think he says that unless like Kevin Durant and James Harden are like okay with him saying that. Because I feel like they're also
Sean Marks, sorry, not Bobby.
Yeah. I feel like they're also fed up with it because they're, like you just said, with the NBA coddling the players. Like Kevin Durant's the best player on that team and like the best player in the league. So you're not going to say something not about just his teammate, but one of his close friends like that and not ask him first. That's just my opinion and track record of NBA superstardom history the past like 20 years. So they had to be okay with it. Like, so once they got to go ahead, they were like, all right, I could say this. But me personally, I didn't even like the idea of someone being a part-time basketball player. This isn't WWE where you could just be a part-time superstar and show up when you want. Like, I did not like that idea, but I just like, what do you do in the playoffs then? Like, you're only going to play at the playoff way games and not play at home? Like,
eat, sleep, away games, repeat, buddy.
Like, Jesus. But no, I just felt like Kevin and James said it was okay because when they were talking about moving facilities for one guy to practice, I was like, okay, that's not how a team should operate.
I agree. Let's stick on. Again, we'll continue to monitor that situation as it moves forward. That's almost as complex as the Ben Simmons thing, which is also tackled the offseason. So for the listeners, again, so, obviously the famous, Ben Simmons not taking shots in the fourth quarter in their playoff exit series at all, like in any of the games. And, again, famously passing up a wide open dunk to pass it to somebody who got stuffed and a missed layup, missed dunk attempt, and going the other way. And I mean, as ruthless as the Sixer fans are, you add that into the comments by Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid and the post-game press conference, everything else. And Ben Simmons has been holding out. Hasn't played any preseason game, what have you, until last week when finally you've got the most immovable rock in the world, Clutch Sports, who will do anything and everything to burn franchises to the ground, as good as they are.
Yeah.
I will say they're good in that respect, but they also have a tendency to Cleveland Cavaliers. If you want to make LeBron happy, you got to give $88 million to Tristan Thompson, which is insane. Those are the kind of moves, Clutch is separate note, Clutch is getting sued by Nerlens Noel for lost wages on, hey, screw with your current agent and come sign with us. We'll get you tons of millions of dollars. End up signing for the vet minimum, lost like $40-50 million in a couple of years there. Bad. But anyway, so you've got the immovable rock of them. You've also got the movable rock of Daryl Morey. So we've been working towards a situation where Ben Simmons needs to be traded. It's unhealthy to have him in the locker room, what have you. He's reported to camp and is starting to work through like their own mutually agreed upon procedures for him working out and being around the team and everything else until they find a trade. Again, money talks. So eventually Clutch and Ben Simmons said, yeah, I don't want to just like throw all that money out. They're going to put it in an escrow account. And then basically fine him from that escrow account. It's just a little bit of legalese on, instead of just withholding pay, they just would deduct from that escrow account what they were supposed to pay him after a certain contract trigger date. But Ben Simmons is in Philadelphia. I didn't think that was going to happen 3 weeks ago, a month ago, what have you. Still a member of the 76ers. Daryl Morey still wants the moon for him. And the value is really, really low because everybody knows the situation. Martin, just general thoughts on him. Any thoughts on like which side is going to have to cave? I think Daryl Morey is as stubborn as all get out. So I don't know that there's a solution anytime soon, but the solution in the meantime is he's a 76er still.
So the Ben Simmons thing, to me, I'm just going to be honest, because we've talked about him on this pod. This current situation, I felt like that you have some nerve. Like he was the one who played really bad in the playoffs. He was the one who's almost 7 feet, 6 feet, 9 or 8, whatever he is, and went up against a guy who's our height, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", and he didn't take that layup. And like, he's the one saying, oh, I can't play here anymore, even though the team would want him back. I understand everyone has feelings, and hearing that Doc Rivers saying like, I don't know if I can't answer that if we can win a championship. But the fact that he feels like he was so wronged irritates me.
Martin, the players were gonna hop on a plane and fly to LA to try to talk to him, and he's like, "Don't do that. I don't want you to come." His teammates put the agent, put everything else aside. His teammates said they were going to do that, and he wasn't about that life. Yeah. But nonetheless, he's in Philadelphia. Doc Rivers assumes he's going to play, I think was the quote the other day. So again, he's been COVID tested. Everybody's in kind of a what now situation. The key thing coming up December 15th is when a certain batch of players just signed over the offseason are eligible to be traded for the first time. So I don't see any remedies between now and December 15th. Obviously, there's a lot of, how many times do we need random throw-in guy making $4 to $9 million to make the money work for a potential trade? So I really don't see any solutions between now and December 15th at the minimum, when a lot of those players that moved during the offseason, if they are shown they're not working out, or they just need to be a contract filler to get a deal done. I don't see any solutions between now and then.
I don't either, but I don't know. Like you said, Morey, he's an immovable object. Like he's going to ask for the house from anyone. Like, I don't know who's giving up the house. Like he's going to have to take scraps.
That might be, yeah. And Morey won't take scraps. That's the inherent problem. Again, is so I don't know. And Ben's got so many years left on his deal. I find fault here in the Ben Simmons camp 3,000%. If you sign a contract, you have to wait. Everybody just jumps on the money. They don't consider living out the duration of the contract. If you put your name, like way I was raised, the way I know you were raised, you put your name down on something that means something. And if you've got however many years left on his deal that he does, like 4 years is still left on his deal. I mean, you can't just not show up. You know what I mean? You can't just not show up for work. He's missed he got fined $360,000 for the 2 preseason games he missed. Additional fines are believed to be, I think, $2,500 for the first, $5,000 for the second, $7,500 for the third practice. And I think it could go up to like $50,000 per practice he missed in between there too. So again, money talks at a certain point. I think on our playoff predictions, if we can maybe switch into talking about some of those, let's start in the West. I've got a couple. I got a couple ideas, Martin. On I'll lay some teams out. I'll lay some teams out that I think could be Ben Simmons destinations, and if they do, I think they could be a little bit higher than where I have them.
All right, yeah.
So Martin, who are your Western Conference playoff team?
Okay. So my Western Conference playoffs team, let's just get this one out of the way. The Los Angeles Lakers. I think they'll bounce back. I mean, they were in the playoffs last year, but due to some injuries, they lost the first round to the Phoenix Suns. They got Russell Westbrook, and I know we're super interested to see how that goes. So that's one of them.
Yes, we are.
I got to take the L7C Suns, because literally last year, we told everyone this time last year when we were previewing the NBA season that the Suns can make it to the Western Conference Finals, and they did us one better. They made it to the finals. So I'm taking them as well. Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray coming back, the MVP, the Joker. So that's 3. Those would be my top 3 right now. And then I don't know if I think the Clippers are going to make it, but I do have the Golden State Warriors making the playoffs this year because of Steph Curry. Klay Thompson's coming back. We're going to see how he plays. Draymond, I feel like they're going to be motivated. I do have Dallas and Portland in as well. That's 6. And then these playoff games are the Clippers. The Utah Jazz. Obviously, they had the best home record in the league last year. So that's 7. And then I have, a person who I've been tied to now, maybe for life, the Clippers potentially coming in the rear as the 8th seed with my main man, Paul George.
I thought you were going to say Terrence Mann.
No, everyone knows how I feel about Paul George. So, playoff Paul George, but he did well last year. I almost had to issue an apology. But those are my.
And Martin, if you've got, I expand a little bit. If you got 2 teams in the hunt.
Oh,
so
shoot, yeah.
So we've got those playing games. If you got 2 teams in the hunt, that also gives you a little bit of cushion too. So you can either call these teams for the playing games. You can call these teams for, hey, they're a trade away from maybe bumping out my 7th and 8th team right now, or higher, moving up higher. Not saying that they'd only be 7th and 8th, but maybe they could bump up to even like something crazy, go from like 9 to 4 with a certain trade or what have you. Who might those 2 teams be?
I am going to go Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm gonna go the Thunder. I am gonna go the Thunder as a potential.
You're going to Oklahoma City Thunder?
I'm gonna go them. I feel like.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
This is our Martin Baum of the podcast.
Yep.
What?
Yep, that would be my last one. Yep. I don't see anything with the Spurs. The Rockets, they know. The Kings are dysfunctional. I just feel like this is going to be a big year for them. The Thunder might be a 10th seed.
All right, I got to collect myself after that one. I'm going to say there is absolutely no way whatsoever Oklahoma City is going to be in the hunt. Okay. They're bad. They're bad. Please shove this in my face when I'm wrong. It's acceptable. That's what you're taking a hot take right now. I'm taking a hot take right now. So, and that's sometimes we're gonna win some, we're gonna lose some in this podcast land here. But I don't have. I'm going to start backwards. So my 2 teams I have in the hunt. The first one, I do have the Sacramento Kings. Okay. I think the Sacramento Kings, I think De'Aaron Fox is a phenomenal talent. I think Davion Mitchell getting in there with another guard rotation with Tyrese Halliburton. I really, really, really like the Sacramento Kings. I think Mitchell, for as small as he is, he's gritty on defense. I really, really like him in the fold. But the more importantly, I'm looking up and down the roster, Martin. So I've got from Tristan Thompson to a new addition to Terrence Davis, Mo Harkless, back to Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell, all these folks. Martin, if you ask me today, this is my Ben Simmons trade team.
Okay. The Sacramento Kings.
I think the pieces are here with 2 firsts, maybe get a first off another team. You're going to have to give up Tyrese Halliburton. You're going to have to give up maybe Davion Mitchell, although they'll probably fight on that. But if I'm the Sixers, I'm looking at, hey, listen, Harrison Barnes is still only 29 years old. If you could work something around a Barnes, Tyrese Halliburton picks, maybe Buddy Hield, yeah, I'm doing that. And that might be the best. That might be like the best combo you can find. And now, who even knows if Sacramento should have to give up literally a king's ransom for Ben Simmons? But this is my team in the hunt, Martin. I could see this team flying as high as 8. I could see this team definitely being in the hunt for sure. So okay. The other team I have that, again, you're looking at the West, I don't expect the Timberwolves to be, I don't expect the Thunder to be good. I think the Spurs are going to be atrocious. They just have nobody. Lost DeMar DeRozan. I still am a little hesitant with the news that came out today on Zion, but the New Orleans Pelicans are my other team in the hunt. So he's going to miss the first, I think they said like 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. And again, they're clunky. They got a lot of pieces that, you're not quite sure how they're going to fix, but at the end of the day, they've got Zion Williamson, they've got Brandon Ingram, and those are 2 bad dudes. And all you need to do to like get in the 9 or 10 seed is quite simply don't be the Rockets, Thunder, Timberwolves, or Spurs. And I feel like that's really easy to do. So those are my 2 teams in the hunt. From the West, if we revert back and go 1 to 8, I have the following. I have the Los Angeles Lakers. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned before, Russell Westbrook is in the fold. Again, lots of potential for some other really, really neat things with Kendrick Nunn. I think that's a really underrated signing for folks coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. Really, really excited about, I think Carmelo, again, these are for the most part, a bunch of old guys surrounded by some prove yourself guys. Right. Mm-hmm. But I really, really think the Lakers are your de facto number 1 team. So beyond that, I have the Denver Nuggets. I have the Golden State Warriors as high as 3. And Klay Thompson's revenge tour is going to be nasty, and I'm all here for it. Now that the Cavs are out of it, and I'm a few years removed from all the Cavs, Warriors finals, everything else, you name it. I'm super, super interested, definitely now more than I was before, with the Klay Thompson revenge tour and all things Golden State Warriors. Have them at 3. Picked up Otto Porter Jr., brought Iggy back, signed Chris Chiozza, drafted Jonathan Kaminga, and Moses Moody. If you think back to draft night, our boy Kendrick Perkins struggling so bad.
That was bad.
That's an all-timer. So you've got kind of the, starting to get towards the end of their prime Warriors. Draymond's definitely past his prime by at least a year or 2, what have you. But you've got some folks coming. I really like Jonathan Kaminga. Obviously, he was in contention for, some of the Cavs could even take as high as 3. Really, really like that wing, big physical wing. Again, if you're the bench crew and the folks that flank the Stephs and the Clays and Draymonds of the world, you got to be open. You got to make open shots. You got to cut to the basket, right? As bad as Otto Porter's been, I think that could certainly be a guy who comes and helps. I think Andre Iguodala can certainly come in and help. So I've got them as high as number 3. I have the regular season, not champs, but regular season staple, but don't do anything in the playoffs that is going to be reliable on top 4 seed Utah Jazz. Followed by the Phoenix Suns, slipping a couple places here. Still have them at number 5. I have the Portland Trailblazers at 6, another interesting Ben Simmons destination. I absolutely was heartbroken, Martin. Heartbroken to see the Cavs give up Larry Nance in a 3-team deal with the Bulls and Trailblazers over the summer. But Larry Nance is perfect on this team. Mm-hmm. Before he went down, I think in late December, January last year, he was leading the league in steals for the Cavs. Versatile wing, can handle the ball, can bring the ball up the court. Can defend anything 2 to 5, can hit threes at a fairly respectable clip. For a team that sucks at defense, I love that move. So I have them 6. Again, they could certainly be hey, let's McCollum fix this. Who's I can't remember his name for the life of me. The young North Carolina forward from 2 drafts ago. But you can start to see some sprinkles of a trade there. I've got the Memphis Grizzlies 7. I actually kind of like that trade they had, bringing in Steven Adams. Again, it was kind of a weird, somewhat clunky trade. They drafted Zaire Williams, brought in Steven Adams, acquired Jarrett Culver. They offloaded some salary in that with Valanciunas, who I think they might really miss at the beginning of the season just from a chemistry standpoint. But I do like big, strong as an ox Steven Adams setting screens for Ja Morant. Absolutely love that move. So, and then last, Martin's favorite team, I have at number 8, which I could easily see slipping and trading spots with the Kings, depending how their season goes with Kawhi done for like ever, is the LA Clippers.
Fair enough. Who do you have coming out the West?
Coming out the East?
No, who would you have coming out the West?
Oh, who do I have coming out? Oh, okay. Coming out the West, like, man, that's a tough one. I think honestly, I'm going to say Lakers. But I mean, there's a lot to go though way. Obviously, with all the aging vets, I'm reminded back to the Sports Illustrated photo shoot of Steve Nash and Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant. And this is the primetime thing, again, happening towards the end of Kobe's career. And we saw Steve Nash just fall apart. Dwight Howard have tons of issues, back issues, team issues, all those types of things. So, I mean, like with all these aging vets, it's got to be a really, really good thing. Anthony Davis was not the Anthony Davis they traded all those assets for last season. They need him to be better and healthy. LeBron has to place himself for the playoffs, and they have to let Russ, who's really, really good injury-wise, knock on wood for the Lakers' hopes, kind of let the Lakers control and pace the regular season, right? I mean, because he can go out there and play however many minutes a night. He's so athletic, but he's got to be smart. He's got to play within himself. He can't be just heat checking bad threes that he can't shoot anymore, all those types of things. I have the Lakers coming out. Don't sleep on the Nuggets and Warriors. How about you?
Just so that we don't have chalk with the Lakers, because I would too, but if they're fully healthy, I think Denver can beat them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Denver, once Murray comes back, and I think Murray's slated to come back real late. Like we're talking like March kind of thing. Like he's still going to be out a while. So, I mean, again, you just got to make the playoffs, get to the dance and not have to play the Lakers in round 1. But I think you're right. I could easily see Denver. Michael Porter Jr. continues his ascension. I could easily see the Denver Nuggets. That's why I have them number 2 on my my board, and right there with the Lakers. It's honestly, I feel like it's kind of splitting hairs. I think you're exactly right.
Well, I started with the West and you followed up. So I'll let you start with the East, going to the East side. If you want to work your way up potential sleepers and that bubble stuff, and then work your way up once again.
So, number 1, despite vaccine holdout Kyrie Irving, I have the Brooklyn Nets, Martin. Okay. So besides him, they got better. But so yes, you lose Kyrie Irving. I mean, we all last year thought it was going to be a cakewalk for them in the finals, even when it was down to Harden and Durant in a game 7 with the Bucks. I think going into that, I said whoever wins this series wins the finals based on whoever's coming out of the West, because by that point the Lakers had lost, what have you. But LaMarcus Aldridge gets medically cleared to come back and play, so he's back. 36 years of age, 6'11", serviceable, power forward, big that late in his career. They bring Bruce Brown back, who had really great flashes. The 6'3" guard out of Auburn, just who can rebound the crap out of the ball for his sides. Nick Claxton had big strides last year too. Blake Griffin's back. James Harden is healthier and back. Still got Joe Harris. You add Paul Millsap and Patty Mills. I mean, the depth now, Martin. Like you're going from folks that you just your Mike Jameses of the world on the roster, your Tyler Johnsons of the world that you just need to eat minutes to playoff starters coming off your bench in a lot of capacity. So they're down Kyrie, and let me talk sleeper real quick on the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if you've been watching preseason. I don't know if you've been watching summer league. The kid Cam Thomas, the rookie out of LSU, man, that makes me mad at a team like Brooklyn has him, because that dude can ball. I really, really think he's a candidate for a first. The only thing that might hurt him on first team all rookie potentially is just minutes because of who's ahead of him. But this guy can absolutely play. 6'5" shooting guard out of LSU, can score at all 3 levels. Really, 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 really impressive guy. Number 2, I have the defending champs, Milwaukee. I think they improved too. Picked up Grayson Allen. I think that obviously they lost PJ Tucker to the Heat. Say what you will about PJ, but he was vital to, if nothing else, being a reason that Giannis did not have to guard the other teams. Now you can say, oh, did he guard him? He gave up 50 to KD, whatever. Yes, he guarded him so Giannis could lay off and play free safety. And that saved him energy, saved him minutes. And then when Giannis needed to do it, he went superhuman. So I have Milwaukee at number 2. I think things they're not out of anything just because of the Kyrie thing. The Kyrie thing helps. But I think they can inch a little bit closer depending on how the season shakes out. They really have no assets to improve. So, they definitely would be a buyout team later on. Number 3, I have the Philadelphia 76ers still. So with Philadelphia, obviously you still have Joel Embiid, who you have to keep healthy. And if you lose Joel, you're out on so many different levels for things. Tyrese Maxey, again, just depending on the assets you get back for Ben Simmons trade eventually. I have them as my number 3 team. Number 4, I have the Miami Heat. Obviously winners of, everybody's decided, hey, hottest chick at the bar is Kyle Lowry. So the Sixers were after him, the Heat were after him. Toronto wanted desperately to retain him. There are a couple others, trying to jockey for position to get him, but you bring in Kyle Lowry, you bring in PJ Tucker, you're hoping Tyler Hero has a bounce back to the bubble season and can shoot the lights out. You still got Precious Hachimura, and obviously, the likes of Butler, the likes of Bam. I have them as my number 4 team. Number 5, somehow, some way, I like the Boston Celtics, Martin. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, while they might not be the most complimentary thing, and this might end up being a Portland East situation where you've got just 2 really talented players, not a lot around them. They have trouble making it places. Obviously, the head coaching change is going to be very different with Brad Stevens now in the front office. But I have them sitting there at number 5. Number 6, I have the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young. And the emergence of Cam Reddish late in the playoffs we saw, he's done really well as well. Number 7, I have the New York Knickerbockers. So obviously they pick up Kemba. In addition to a team, I think that finished 5th or 6th in the standings last year. Really impressive run that nobody really saw for the Knicks. And then number 8, I have the guard heavy and very impressive, Martin, Chicago Bulls. Let me pause there for a second. What do you think about Chicago?
I actually had them around 8th or like one of the play-in teams. I do think that it's going to be, I mean, Zach LaVine has someone who could pass to him now with Lonzo Ball. Like, I feel like they're going to be an exciting team to watch. I do. I think you're right that 8th is the highest I could see them being.
I might give them a little bit more credit and say, because I mean, there's a couple things that could bounce. Obviously, injuries can bounce certain ways, but you know, as much as I still have Boston up as high as I do, I also feel like their floor could be 8, and you know, Chicago could be a 6-7 type of thing too. You know, it's, I mean, especially when you bring a new coach, new system, all those types of things. But for Chicago, obviously they bring in Lonzo Ball, they bring in Alex Caruso, they bring in DeMar DeRozan, and I really like Ayo Dosunmu, the point guard out of Illinois, and dude's like 4th on the depth chart. I feel bad for him. So they're starting Alize Johnson, vet out of Missouri State, who's bounced around a couple different teams. I think he was with Brooklyn previously. They bring in Stanley Johnson. Derek Jones has been there for the last couple of years. And then obviously you've got the likes of, they traded a first to pick up Nikola Vucevic. Patrick Williams has been recovering from an injury. He hasn't played at all. Really impressive rookie out of Florida State from a year ago. You still got Kobe White back there in the backcourt. And then, you know, again, the man, Zach LaVine. Very impressive Team USA run, and played a lot of great defense in there too. You know, this might be my surprise team. While it's not my in the hunt team because I have them in the playoffs, this is my team that, like, if you're telling me, you know, even a team like Miami, maybe Miami has chemistry issues, what have you, with all these new players in, what have you. You know, Kyle Lowry, their big signing, is injured at his age, 35, 36. Say they're 7. And you told me that Chicago was 4 or 5. I wouldn't balk at that. But finishing up for me in the hunt, I have the Indiana Pacers, and hope this isn't just like a joke for me moving forward. And I don't know how we're going to get there, Martin, because we've got 17,000 centers, but I have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. So my list is very similar to yours, and I won't hold everyone too long, except for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I replaced that with the Hornets. The ball.
How dare you?
That'd be the only, that one. I would, I mean, just from, unless Cavs, I mean, we have our right to change our picks later on in the year, but that's just right now. I had, just because of the Kyrie thing, I did flip the Bucks and the Nets. I just had the Bucks finishing with a better regular season record, not them coming out. I just feel like they're a regular season team too. Like, they can get like 60 wins, like it's nothing with them. And also with the Ben Simmons situation, I had the Heat at 3 and the Sixers at 4. I know you had the Sixers at 3 and the Heat at 4. So those are the only two like flipped, and then everything else was the same.
Real quick on the Cavs. Obviously, we spend a lot of time talking about that. That's my team. It's a team I know you watch a lot. Let me read you the power forward centers just to refresh your memory. Now, obviously, the roster is way too big right now. They're gonna have to make some cuts because we're still in preseason mode. Those will come into the weekend. But here are your bigs, your power forwards and centers. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, Lauri Markkanen, acquired from Chicago in that Larry Nance Jr. trade. Kevin Love, who has been coming off the bench and not chucking balls at people's faces, and somehow okay with that so far. Taco Fall, Ed Davis, and Jared Allen. Somewhere in there, I don't know who's going to pay for centers in a small ball type league, but there's another move to be made. Again, Kevin's owed so much money left on his contract still that, like, he'll never agree to a buyout and taking less money for that kind of thing. But what I do like for the Cavs, again, and while I'm being just super optimistic that hopefully they'll be in there, is you're going into year 3 of Darius Garland, who, last year you had the COVID year for that guy. The year before was the really, really shortened year where the Cavs didn't make it and he didn't play his rookie year, like after March with the shutdown, all those types of things. So he's coming into year 3. I think he's the best talent on this roster, purest stroke, one of the best distributors. I really like Dylan Windler. Again, we've been waiting for him to emerge, the 4-year Butler player who's been plagued by injuries. Cavs desperately need a small forward, and Windler can be that 3-point marksman coming in off the bench. But you look at their bench, Martin, kind of like the Brooklyn thing. It's not anywhere near the Brooklyn thing. It's just similar talking point. But you look at the Brooklyn thing where you've got new players coming in, again, just with veteran experience off the bench. So if you're the Cavs now, you're playing younger guys up front, trying to maximize their growth and playing time and everything else. But now your bench has got, Jetty Osman, who's 26, has been in the league and played for 4 or 5 years now, serviceable small forward. You've got Kevin Love. They just signed Ed Davis, which I was surprised about today. So 32-year-old center who's bounced around the league a lot, with Portland, with Minnesota, what have you. But you've got Ricky Rubio now too, who easily is the best distributor on this team. It's so nice watching Ricky Rubio play. You definitely get some Minnesota Timberwolves vibes back in the day for the Love trade to the Cavs, with the Rubio Love connection. But you've got Denzel Valentine too. So, this team, I don't know. This is going to be the year we find out if JB cuts it or not, as a head coach. I like JB as a person, phenomenal leader. He's tactful. He's implicit with the kind of values and effort he wants to see. Always a great press conference. But at a certain point, I think not just him, I think for Kobe Altman, the GM too, listen, you need to figure out a trade here fast, because you got, again, 18,000 centers, it seems like, and you have no small forwards basically whatsoever. But again, there's opportunity here, Martin. I feel like with some of these veterans, I think Lowry Markkanen desperately needed a change of scenery. He's still only 24, can shoot the lights out from 3, 7-footer. They played some jumbo lineups too, which have been really interesting with Allen Love and Markkanen. And we haven't even talked about the rookie, who I was I'm not sold on this guy during Summer League. I'm not sold on this guy during Summer League. I'm not sold on this guy on Summer League. Evan Mobley is going to be first team rookie. If there is a first, I don't even know. If there's a first team rookie all defense, Evan Mobley for sure will be on it. Did I send you that video clip of him blocking the Caruso jumper? Yep. Mm-hmm. That was insane. The amount of space that man closed was just absolutely mind-boggling. Just real impressive kid. I don't know. Have you had any opportunity to see Evan play at all?
I have, and I will keep it short and sweet, so we keep it under the producers time limit, and then we'll just do quick hits and we'll be done. But yeah, I've seen him play. I saw the block. I've watched some of the Cavs preseason. It'll be interesting. I don't know who's taking all these centers, and then if people do, and if things, because anything can happen at the Eastern Conference, but I'll just leave it at that on that, so we stay within our time.
Yeah.
But Evan, real quick, just some quick hitter things before we sign off. Yes. Tuesday, 7:30, Bucks, Nets. Who do you have winning that one?
I have the Bucks capitalizing on a lot of new players coming on the Nets, and the drama around the Kyrie situation. I like the defending champs night one. Martin, on the flip side of that, you've got the Los Angeles Lakers and you've got the Golden State Warriors. Who do you got?
I got the Lakers in that one. I think the Lakers are going to make a game one opening statement, or Russell Westbrook is going to have a quadruple double with 10 turnovers, one or the other. But I got the Lakers in that.
Martin, MVP pick right now, as of today.
Luka.
We did that last year.
I'm going again.
There's so many guys who could win this award. I mean, I have Giannis right up there. I have Luka 4, which surprised me because of how well Jokic has been playing. So I've still got him in contention. So I mean, all these are splitting hairs. I'm going with the best player in the league, Martin.
Okay.
I'm going with the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant, as your 2022 league's most valuable player.
Okay.
That's a bad dude who gets a lot of bad buckets.
Okay, we'll see.
Kevin Durant.
All right. And with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Basketball is back. Thank you, Evan, for being our basketball expert and being on. Now it is your time to start shining on the L7C as we enter basketball season. Make sure you guys like, rate, comment, subscribe anywhere you listen to. And yeah, opening night, Tuesday, October 19th, Nets, Bucks, Warriors, Lakers. As a basketball fan, you can't ask for more. And with that being said, this is the L7C signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.